Hey there, Tiff here. Today we're going to have a chat about something that I think is really important for you. And what that is you know how like you get really upset with your performance when you're playing your sport. You just haven't played the way that you've wanted to. You haven't performed the way you wanted to. Even though you've given it your all, you've tried your best, but you just don't understand what's going wrong and you don't know how to get out of that slump. Well, I've got something really cool for you today. We're going to look at that and I'm going to show you some strategies and ways in which you can help yourself get out of that, okay? So don't go anywhere. I'll be with you very shortly. Hey there, Tiff here. Welcome to Ambition Habits. So lovely to see you here today. Yes, it's time that we've got to start talking about these performances when you don't perform the way that you want to. It's all great when everything happens really well and everything just flows easily, but you know, a lot of the time when we get out there and perform in our sport, we've got all these challenges going on. It could be, you know, the conditions, you know, it could be wet, it could be too hot, it could be the surface isn't correct, you know, it's not the same as like you'd like it to be. Could be, you know, you've had some stresses going in your life, you know, before you've actually got it, you know, left home, you know, and you're carrying that with you as you go down to wherever you're going to play your sport. So we need ways in which we can deal with things that's going to help us perform the way that we want to. So let's look at it for an example. So you get to where you want to play. Let's say you're going to play golf, and you get there. You've had all this stuff going on for you. You get out on the golf course, and you still just can't get it together. You're trying really hard to get it together, and you just can't. And you've got all this poor self-talk going on, putting yourself down the whole time. Oh, geez, Tiff, you're so bad. Why'd you come today? You know you've got all this stress here happening. Come on, get it together. Come on, you can do better than this. Come on, you know, like you should be able to get this by now. And you have these expectations that you should be able to perform. And then you come off and you're just like, oh, geez, I was just so bad, and I just don't know what to do. Don't know if I'll ever get it back together. And I don't know, what's the point, right? I mean, I'm feeling that. I was feeling that yesterday when I was playing bowls, because I've taken up lawn bowls, and you know, I want to do really well and I want to compete at a really high level in that. And I'm going through the same. Like, I've taken up a new sport. So my other sports have been tennis and golf mainly. I've played a lot of team sports as well, but they've been my two. And now I've taken up lawn bowls. And all of a sudden I've noticed, you know, these expectations are coming in. I haven't been playing for that long. You know, I've been learning probably the last 12 months, but I've only been playing competition for about 3. And yeah, I'm just starting to notice that the expectations coming, because like I'm putting the work in. You know, I've been putting the work in. I've been really drilling, really practicing really hard. And so I'm experiencing that as well. Right? So what we want to make sure that we're doing, though, is when we're not performing well and we come off after we've played our sport, is like, what are we going to do? Are we going to dwell on it, or are we going to do something about it and really take positive steps in making sure that we can keep moving forward? I know what the answer is, don't you? It's definitely, we want to, you know, learn from it and take positive steps. So this is what we're going to do today. I'm going to just give you some simple strategies on how you can do that. Very, very simple, but it's really good to do that, because you don't want to spend your time worrying about, oh, geez, I'm so bad. And then you take that feeling of, oh, geez, I'm so bad. I just didn't perform the way I wanted to. What's the point of me going out there? I'm just going to be a failure again. When you step back out on your sports arena the next time, well, we need to change that, because you don't want to carry that with you, right? It's happened, that's the past. And so what we want to do is to move forward and move into the direction and path that we want to go, so that we're getting better results. How do we do that? Very good question. Okay, so this is what we're going to do today. This is what we're going to work through. We're going to reflect constructively actually what has actually happened in our game. And this is how we're going to do that. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to analyze our performance. So I don't want you to instantly go into self-criticization mode, right? It's quite easy that we can self-criticize ourselves and, it's just not good enough. Come on, what's going on? Like, you should be able to do all of this by now. You've been playing this for so long. Why haven't you got it together? So we don't want to, out of this analysis, we don't want to put ourselves down, because you're not going to learn anything from that. All you're going to learn, well, actually you are in saying that, you're actually going to learn how negative you are and how positive, the negative self-talk that you have towards yourself is actually the thing that's holding you back. But we'll just talk about that a little bit later. But I don't want you to be criticizing yourself when we're analyzing this. What I want you to do is, number one, I want you to look at what actually worked well. What did you do well in your sport today? So let's have a look at it. What was it? What was it that actually worked well for you today? Did you have some good routines going? Were you feeling let's say if you're playing golf, were you feeling the swing coming together nicely? Were you calm? Were you putting well? Were you playing shots down the fairway well? It doesn't matter whether you're super accurate or not, but did it feel okay, right? So we need to look at those things that were working really well for you. So I'll give you an example with where I'm at right now with my lawn bowls, is that what worked for me, because I wasn't overly excited about the way I played yesterday initially when I first started off. So I had to look in ways in which I had to get it together, right? So the things that I focused on in looking at that reflection is what worked well for me. Well, I made sure I was true to my routine. So I made sure my routine was in place. And that's also the preparation of the routine. I'll talk about that shortly. But then also staying calm and breathing, right? Because I'm expecting myself to perform better because I'm putting the work in, and I wasn't doing that straight off the block, so to speak. I was really annoyed with myself about that. Again, I'll talk about that shortly. But the thing is I knew that I would focus, if I just focused on my routine, focused on my line where I needed to aim it, I knew that everything else would come together as I settled in. I felt a bit unsettled when I first started. Again, expectation. So I made sure that the routine was in place and my breathing was in place so that I could stay calm. So I want you to just go back and have a look at what really worked well for you when you played. Even though you weren't overly satisfied with your game, what did you do well? Let's have a look at that first, okay? Okay, number two, what is it that you could actually have done better? What do you think you could have done better? So let's say your positive self-talk was not quite there, right? So you could have probably spoken to yourself better. Usually I find it's pretty easy to, start criticising yourself when you're not performing well straight off the bat. And like I said, when I played in a match yesterday, it's just a local comp, I'm not playing in the Australian Open just yet, but I was like, okay, come on, Tiff, you've been doing the work. Why aren't you putting this together? Why aren't you getting that right distance and so on? Come on, you've got to be so much better than this, you've got to prove that you're so much better than this because you're putting the work in. And so what could I have done better there? Well, first thing is get rid of the expectation. Let go of the expectation, and again go back into just focusing on routines and my line. And then I also discovered a great thing halfway through the match, or early on in the match, that made a huge difference for me in ways in which I could then get the right distance, because I was getting the lines, I was pretty confident with my lines, but I wasn't getting the right distances, and I was getting really annoyed by that because I work on that. And so what I found by this highlight that came about, through the match, a way in which I could work out my distances so much better, so then I could perform better, that changed everything. So what could I have done better? Well, now that I've discovered that when I was playing, way in which I could get my distances better, I can then apply that into the next match. I can apply that into my practice as well, because it's changing everything. It's taking me through to the next level. But unless you go back and actually have a look at what's going on for you, you're not going to be able to then improve on that, right? Because you're going to be stuck. You're going to be stuck in that mode of, I'm just can't get it together. Oh, gee, I hope I don't have the same game that I had last week. It was so bad. And you're already setting yourself up for failure because you're worried about how you might perform versus, okay, these are the things that I learnt from the last match, and this is what I can then use moving forward. Now let's apply these next steps into moving forward, and let's see what happens in that next match so that I can understand how to improve myself better. Okay, and I understand how I can perform better, right? Because it's all a learning process. You've got to understand that, and it's all feedback. So everything that you get all the time is feedback about what's going on for you, right? Again, like what I was saying, like I was struggling with distance. Okay, that's my feedback. Okay, how am I going to change that? What do I need to do? And I discovered this great thing that changed everything, and then I started to perform better. Right, so that's what we've got to be aware of too. You don't get caught into that mode of frustration. Oh, geez, you're just not performing the way you should have, and those not meeting up to those expectations that you have for yourself. You've got to go, okay, what's going on? What can I do to improve this in the moment? Right, so you've got to be aware of that too. Again, you're just getting feedback, and what are you going to learn from that feedback? So if we then look at like what I've just said, what we're actually doing is we're learning, aren't we? So we're learning and then we're growing from that. So the thing that I want you to understand is that everything, like I've just said before, is all about feedback. So what do we learn from that feedback that we're receiving, right? What is it that you're getting out of your performance, right? Okay, poor self-talk, right? I'm really beating myself up about how I'm performing. I've got these really huge expectations that I should be doing what I should be doing. I should be performing right now. I should be like on the game and should be able to just do it. So what do we learn from that? We learn that, okay, that's not the approach, because we're too focused on the performance in the sense of the result, rather than focusing on the action, right? The process. So we've got to stay in that process mode and focus on that process. There was a really great interview I heard a while ago, and it was a neuroscientist, and he's been working with an Olympian, and he said to this Olympian how you either win, and if you don't win, you learn, right? My attitude is you win or you get feedback, right? So what he was talking about in that sense was that, okay, yep, you win and you learn your lessons from what you win, but also when you don't win that performance, what are the lessons that you learned from that, okay? What's actually going on? And you need to analyse and understand what's going on so that you can then improve your performance. It's all about improving your performance, isn't it? It's not getting stuck in that mode of, oh, gee, I was so bad last week, or I was so bad yesterday. Gee, I hope I'm not like that today, or I hope I'm not like that tomorrow. Versus, okay, these are all the lessons that I've learned. I've got poor self-talk when I'm out there. I'm not focused and staying in the moment. I'm too worried about the result. I'm not taking it one shot at a time. I've got no routines in place. And all I'm doing is worrying about what could be rather than staying in the moment. Something to work on, isn't it? So let's think about it now. If you were then to step out into your sports arena the next time, what would be the things that you would be focusing on? So for me, I'll give some examples. The things that I would focus on is making sure that I'm breathing as I'm performing my stroke. I would make sure that I've got my routine in place. So I've got a pre-shot routine, what the process is for my pre-shot routine, what the process is for my actual routine, so that's the middle part of the routine, and what my process is after I've completed the routine, right? So all I'm then focusing on is the routine and then the breathing, and by doing that, that's just keeping me in the moment, because that's what I can then control. Also, I've also identified, what I've shared with you is that once I know what my line is, now I know how to get my distance better, because I had a big breakthrough with that yesterday when I performed in my sport. So then I can get the distance correct because I understand now how to read it better, right? Breakthrough. So the question then comes to you is, for your next performance, what are you going to do? What are you going to be focusing on that's going to help you maintain calm, be steady, be focused in the moment? What kind of language are you going to use for yourself so that you are focusing on the positive aspect, the focus on staying in the moment, and also being very kind to yourself. And the other thing is enjoyment, right? Why are you playing that sport? Yep, you want to do really well in it. I understand that. But because I'm exactly the same. Whatever sport I go into, I go in 100%. So I want to do the same. But we've got to make sure that we're actually enjoying it, because that's why we're there. We've got to get the fun out of it too, right? So towards the end, like we didn't win the match yesterday. That's all fine, but we practiced a lot of different shots. We didn't worry about that because it was an opportunity to practice in a game situation, which you don't get to do that, right? Because it doesn't count. And so we focused a lot on practicing some shots that we don't get an opportunity to practice as well. I found that exciting. That really upped my level then and got me really excited about the game, like creating shots, right? Being creative. How are you going to place, the bowls in particular positions so that you can create this result? So that's what you want to be looking at, okay? Ways in which you can be happy, ways in which you have some routines in place, ways in which you are going to be talking to yourself much more kindly, and appreciate who you are, okay? You're out there. You've got an opportunity to go and play a sport that you absolutely love. Go and absolutely enjoy it, all right? So I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Love it if you could leave a message down below what you like best about what you heard today. And before you go, remember this: dream big, believe in you, go after your dreams. Take care, talk soon, bye for now.